A model village is a type of mostly self-contained community, built from the late 18th century onwards by landowners and industrialists to house their workers. Although the villages are located close to the workplace, they are generally physically separated from them and often consist of relatively high-quality housing, with integrated community amenities and attractive physical environments. Model is used in the sense of an ideal to which other developments could aspire. British Isles. The term model village was first used by the Victorians to describe the new settlements created on the rural estates of the landed gentry in the 18th century, as landowners sought to improve their estates for aesthetic reasons. New landscapes were created and the cottages of the poor were demolished and rebuilt out of sight of the country house vistas. New villages were created at Newnham Courtney when the village was rebuilt as plain brick dwellings either side of the main road. At Milton Abbas the village was moved and rebuilt in a rustic style, and Blaze Hamlet in Bristol had individually designed buildings, some with thatched roofs. The swing riots of 1830 highlighted poor housing in the countryside, ill health and immorality, and landowners had a responsibility to provide cottagers with basic sanitation. The best landlords provided accommodation, but many adopted a paternalistic attitude when they built model dwellings and imposed their own standards on the tenants, charging low rents but paying low wages. As the Industrial Revolution took hold, industrialists who built factories in rural locations provided housing for workers clustered around the workplace. An early example of an industrial model village was New Lanark, built by Robert Owen. Philanthropic coal owners provided decent accommodation for miners from the early 19th century. Earl Fitzwilliam, a paternalistic colliery owner, provided houses near his coal pits in Elsakar near Barnsley that were of a class superior in size and arrangement, and inconveniences attached to those of working classes. Quote, "They had 4 rooms and a pantry, and outside a small garden and pigsty." Others were established by Edward Ackroyd at Copley between 1849 and 1853, and Ackroyd in 1861–63. Ackroyd employed Giles Gilbert Scott. Titus Salt built a model village at Saltaire. Henry Ripley, owner of Bowling Dye Works, began construction of Ripleyville in Bradford in 1866. Industrial communities were established at Price's Village by Price's Patent Candle Company, and at Aintree by Hartley's, who made jam in 1888. William Lever's Port Sunlight had a village green, and its houses espoused an idealized rural, vernacular style. Quaker industrialists George Cadbury and Rowntree's built model villages by the factories. Cadbury built Bourneville between 1898 and 1905, and a second phase from 1914, and New Earswick was built in 1902 for Rowntree's. As coal mining expanded, villages were built to house coal miners. In Yorkshire, Grimethorpe, Goldthorpe, Woodlands and Fitzwilliam were built to house workers at the collieries. The architect who designed Woodlands and Cresswell model villages, Percy B. Houghton, was influential in the development of the Garden City movement. In the 1920s, Silver End model village in Essex was built for Francis Henry Crittall. Its houses were designed in an Art Deco style with flat roofs and Crittall windows. The more recent development of Poundbury, a model village in rural Dorset, has been supported by the Prince of Wales. England, Trowse, Norfolk, Blaze Hamlet, Gloucestershire, Selworthy, Somerset, Barrow Bridge, Bolton, Snelston, Derbyshire, Swindon Railway Village, Wiltshire, Withnellfeld, Lancashire, Meltham, Yorkshire, Saltaire, Yorkshire, Accroydon, Yorkshire, Nenthead, Cumberland, New Charleston Colliery Village, Yorkshire, Ripleyville, Yorkshire, Copley, Yorkshire, Howbridge, Lancashire, Bourneville, Worcestershire, Barwick, Hertfordshire, Port Sunlight, Cheshire, Cresswell Model Village, Derbyshire; New Bolsover Model Village, Derbyshire; Vickerstown, Lancashire; New Earswick, Yorkshire; Woodlands, Yorkshire; Whiteley Village, Surrey; The Garden Village, Kingston upon Hull, Yorkshire; Silverend, Essex; Stewartby, Bedfordshire; Poundbury, Dorset; Ireland; Milford, County Armagh, Northern Ireland; Portlaw, County Waterford, Republic of Ireland; Sion Mills, County Tyrone, Northern Ireland; Bessbrook, County Armagh, Northern Ireland; Laurelvale, County Armagh, Northern Ireland; Scotland; New Lanark, Lanarkshire; Wales; Tremadog, Carmarthenshire; Portmeirion, Meirion, Europe; Germany. In Germany, Stadt des KDF Wagens was built from the Volkswagen factory. Italy. In Italy's Lombardy region, Crespi d'Adda is a particularly well-preserved model workers' village, and has been a World Heritage Site since 1995. It was built from scratch, starting in 1878, to provide housing and social services for the workers in a cotton textile factory erected on the banks of the River Adda, Spain. The town of Nuevo Bastorn outside of Madrid dates from the mercantilist and entrepreneurial ambitions of an industrialist from the early 18th century. Americas. Guatemala. The term model villages refers to the forcible resettlement program for Civil War refugees in Guatemala developed by the national government to isolate civilians from guerrillas by confining them to closed garrison towns. The system was based on the Strategic Hamlet program in Vietnam instituted by the U.S. military and the Diem regime during the earlier parts of the Vietnam War, and has parallels with the village guard system enforced by the Turkish government during the Turkish-Kurdish conflict. Mexico. The first model villages appeared during the Porfirio Diaz regime, the most notable being Metepec and Licotalpan. United States of America. Model villages were also built in the United States along the same lines as planned industrial communities, for example at Gwin, Michigan and Pullman, Illinois. There were also such agricultural communities as the 18th-century Davis Bend, Mississippi. Boulder City, Nevada was originally built in 1931 for housing for workers who were building Hoover Dam. Venezuela. Jargi, Campo Elías Municipality, a planned village in the Andes. Jargi was restored in the 20th century in Spanish colonial style. Asia. India. India has its equivalent as Model Town. The first was Model Town, but India put up with exclusive purpose of housing the employees of Guru Nanak Dev Thermal Plant. Similar model towns are attached with many Indian cities. Pimpri Gwali, Australasia. New Zealand. Bar Hill was laid out by its Scottish aristocratic owner for the workers on his large sheep farm.